All right. Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the February 2nd, 2023 Community Corrections Partnership meeting. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll and establish a quorum for us.
Good morning. Member Benson?
Present.
Member Sullivan?
Present.
Member Brookins? Member Geller? Member Lutz?
Present.
Member Gordon? Member Cooper? Member Cathari?
Here.
Member Lester? Member Jones?
Here.
Member Norgard?
Here.
Member Walker?
Here.
And Chair Yarber.
Here. Thank you.
And you have a quorum.
Thank you. I believe I'll ask, I think is it Chief Deputy Rod Norgard from the District Attorney's Office to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
of the
to the
United States of America and to the republic
Republic
which stands
for which is
one nation under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kind of faded out.
Oops, thank you, Rod. Let's see. Clerk, would you please read the Metro Cable 14 opening statement and meeting announcement?
This meeting of the Sacramento County Community Corrections Partnership is being cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will be replayed on Friday, February 3rd at 3 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/MetroCable14. In compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and open to public attendance pursuant to health and safety guidelines. The practice of social distancing and wearing of face coverings is recommended for the health and safety of all persons participating in person during the meeting, although it is not required. To make a comment in person, please fill out a speaker request form and hand it to clerk staff. The chairperson will open public comments for each agenda item or call for off-agenda matters. When the chairperson calls your name, go to the podium and make your comment. To make a public comment by phone, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. Please refer to the agenda and or watch the meeting to follow along to determine when is the best time to call to be placed in queue to make your public comment. Clerk staff will transfer calls into the meeting accordingly. Each agenda item queue will remain open until the public comment period is closed for that specific item. You may be on hold for up to an extended period of time, and your patience is appreciated. You may send written comments by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record.
Great, thank you. Just as a reminder, we are continuing to meet in the hybrid in-person/video teleconference format. There are some best practices for us to follow, especially for those who are joining us remotely. So please remember to mute your phone if you are not speaking, and also announce yourself before speaking. As we begin, I would just first like to make sure I acknowledge for those who are watching, the reason why I turned to Rod today was I believe this may be one of his last official actions in representing the District Attorney's Office, as he is retiring after 33 years of service. I can only say, as someone who's, still, relatively new to the county, only 10 years for me, that the partnership, the relationships really are things that we can look back to as strengths for the county, and the way that Rod embraced both former Chief Seal and myself, I think I speak for him here, really helped probation sort of, right its course and reestablish its right position in the justice system here in Sacramento County. I know that there are other folks who have had similar experiences, and I can say across my department, there are folks that have relationships and that know Rod, and there are some very colorful stories we will not get into today, but would encourage folks to remind him of some of those things. So let me pause and see if there are any other opening comments or congratulatory remarks at this point. Member Benson?
Yes, thank you. I also want to congratulate Rod. We don't always agree on everything, and there's quite a bit we don't agree on. But he's always been a very straightforward, honest, helpful person to talk to try to solve problems. That when we can solve problems, you've been very, very knowledgeable and eager to solve problems, and you've always been very respectful of the public defender's role and understood our duties and what we need to do to protect our clients. And so I want to wish you the very best. I thank you for all of the collaboration that we have been able to do, and I hope you have a wonderful retirement.
I thank you very much, both of you. I just am happy. It's been a great career, but I think the benefit of our county is we do have a great relationship with everyone. We can always pick up the phone, and even if we agree to disagree, we can solve about 90% of our problems with a phone call, and that's an important thing to have. So thank you, everyone.
No, thank you. Perhaps a round of applause. Excellent. Thank you for indulging me. Let's see. Where are we? So, Clerk, would you please read item 1 into the record for us?
Item 1 is approve amendment to Community Corrections Partnership Bylaws affecting Article 6, Section D, miscellaneous public comment, Article 7, Chair, and Article 8, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Laura, are you prepared to provide us a little bit of background and overview on the item?
I am.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today. When we recently, periodically, we just take a look at our bylaws and make sure they're syncing up with what we're actually doing in this room. And we found just a couple of things where there could be some improvement. The first of those is to address public comment. Previously, there was a provision in the bylaws that allowed for 5 minutes per person per item, which is just not typical of the other boards and committees in this county. It also doesn't allow the chair any discretion to extend or shorten public comment as needed. So we're just my recommendation here is that we amend the bylaws to adjust that provision to be consistent with the Board of Supervisors and language they typically use around public comment. The other two provisions that are affected, the second is in Article 7 for the chair. Typically here we have some designees for some of our positions, and those are authorized through law. Typically in the chair's absence, he would have a designee that would then fill in and serve as the chair. So effectively we're asking you to just formalize that rather than having someone else who's not representing the chair fill in to preside over the meeting. Third is Article 8, which is the vice chair. We just haven't had a vice chair, and it's been in here for a long time, and even the provision about vice chair is kind of conflicting. It says on one hand that it rotates among the executive committee, but it also says that there's periodic elections. So we would be clarifying this to remove the need for a vice chair since the chair has a designee to preside over the meeting, and the vice chair has no other outlined functions within the bylaws. And then the final consequence, if we do amend the bylaws today to approve these changes, we would need to renumber some of the remaining items based on the removal of Article 8. And that's what I'm hoping you'll approve today.
Great, thank you. I'll open it up for discussion amongst the members. I recognize also, just for the record, no one's really been beating down the chief probation officer's door, asking to chair any of these meetings. I find that just very disappointing. So we will continue to utilize the assistant chief in the probation department. I recognize the assistant chief Wary is in the audience today, and it's typically the designee whenever the chief is unavailable. So any questions? And I cannot see if anyone has their hand up. I do not believe there are any, but please shout if there are.
I was just going to make a motion.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, excellent.
I have a question. What is the county board of supervisors policy on this issue? I know it's said, but it didn't actually say, was it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or was it just up to the discretion of the chair?
Go ahead, Laura.
So the Board of Supervisors time limits changes based on who the chair is that year. Currently, it's 2 minutes per person per item. Last year, under a different chair, it was 3 minutes per person per item, but it's unusual to have something written in the bylaws that assigns a specified time period.
Okay. So I think, should that be written into the bylaws? Because it doesn't specifically say. So if someone's doing public speaking, I think they want to have an idea of how much time they really have.
Yes, so the bylaw amendment would align it with the Board of Supervisors, which does mean that it would be written hopefully into future instructions within this agenda, so that's clear to members of the public. We can certainly add that. But right now, yes, they would need to look at what the Board of Supervisors is doing and then identify that as the time frame. And because the chair can change it from year to year, we didn't want to put a specified time frame and have to amend the bylaws every year after that change occurs.
Thank you.
That's helpful, Laura. Thank you. Other questions? If there are no questions, Clerk, are there any public comments on this item?
We have no public comments for item 1.
Great, thank you. Well, let's close the public comment since there are none, and I will ask for a motion to approve the item.
Rod Norgard, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Norgard. We have a first.
Amanda Benson, I second it.
Ms. Benson with a second. Let's call for the vote, Clerk.
Member Benson?
Yes.
Member Sullivan?
Yes.
Member Lutz?
Yes.
Member Cathari?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Norgard?
Yes.
Member Walker?
Yes.
And Chair Yarber.
Yes.
And the item passes with those members present.
Thank you, Clerk. All right, on to item number 2. So you may recall there's some instruction on this item. Clerk, can you please read item 2 into the record?
Item 2 is elect Community Corrections Partnership Vice Chair.
Thank you. And with the passage of item 1, we'll need to drop item 2 from our agenda, but I do need a motion in order to do that. Is it appropriate? Do I need to call for any public comment on this item? I don't know that I do. County Council, please. Thank you.
Once the bylaw has passed, it is effective immediately.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. So I do need a motion in order to drop the item.
Rod Norgard again, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Norgard.
I would second.
Mr. Lutz, second. Clerk, can we please call for the vote?
Member Benson?
Yes.
Member Sullivan?
Yes.
Member Lutz?
Yes.
Member Cathari?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Norgard?
Yes.
Member Walker?
Yes.
And Chair Yarber.
Yes. Thank you.
And the motion passes with those members present.
Excellent. So now we, I believe, are to item 3 for those who are tracking in your packets. Is there any need to renumber these items, or shall we refer to it as item number 3? Great. So I see heads nodding. Then let's continue. Clerk, can you please read item 3 into the record for us?
Item 3 is Community Corrections Partnership Advisory Board update.
Great. And let's see. Laura, are you planning to update us and provide an overview?
Yes, Chair. Thank
Please
you.
continue.
So on behalf of the Community Corrections Partnership Advisory Board, the CCPAB has met 3 times since we previously met with you. And normally it's only 2 in between meetings. However, there was a scheduling conflict with the February meeting, and so it got moved up to the end of January. Recent Community Corrections Partnership meetings, we've received a training on the Brown Act from County Council. We've obviously received a new County Council here who's here in chamber today. We've had some changes in our membership, and we've also been receiving presentations from the executive committee departments, and it's been really wonderful to see the engagement among the CCPAB and members of the public who are engaged in trying to understand what different departments do, how it relates to the AB 109 plan, and so on. So far, we've received presentations from the Office of the Public Defender, from Probation Department, and from Social Services, focusing on forensic behavioral health. And in March, we will receive presentations from the Superior Court, from the District Attorney's Office, and from one more, one of our remaining entities. I apologize. But anyway, we're checking off the list and allowing everyone, the Sheriff's Office, thank you, allowing everyone a chance to provide a presentation to the CCPAB, which really sets a great foundation moving forward to develop next year's plan, to get to hear some insights from each of these departments on what they think is working really well, how it aligns with the AB 109 plan goals, and really what kind of ideas they have for the future. So I'm looking forward to continuing to report out on that as we hear more things, and perhaps providing a summary from the different departments at a future meeting. In addition to that, most of the work for the CCPAB has been taking place in the 2 ad hoc committees that are alive and well. The first is an ad hoc committee designed to address outreach to the justice-involved community with the specific intention of getting some level of insight from those who consider themselves to be justice involved about what worked for them and what's helped them be successful, or what's prevented them from being successful and exiting the justice system involvement. One of the ways that they're doing that is through a survey. That survey will go out by the end of the week. I think you saw it at the last meeting, or at least heard about it then. And we're looking forward to anything you can do to help us get that spread far and wide so that people can respond to it. So you should see that coming to your inbox by the end of the week. In addition, there will be some focus groups that will be targeted towards certain populations to just provide an opportunity to answer those same 4 questions that are focused in the survey, but just to hear people's experiences and be able to document them in a way that not everyone is going to be responsive to a survey. So we're really looking forward to doing those over the next couple months and sharing the results with you once they're done. The other ad hoc committee that is full steam ahead at the moment is a public awareness and community engagement ad hoc committee. They're seeking to really help drive participation at CCPAB meetings and CCP meetings to tell the community what the CCP is, what AB 109 is, how it impacts their communities, and just to provide an overview of information and also ways that they can connect with these groups moving forward. There's going to be opportunities for ways to sign up to receive communications about these meetings. Right now, for example, you can sign up to receive updates on CCP meetings, but there's not a way to receive them on CCPAB meetings. So that's one thing we're looking at. We're also doing a review of the website. That'll be coming up to see how we can improve that, streamline it, make it clearer for those who are engaging with us. And there's also going to be a community workshop. That community workshop will be Monday, March 6th at 7 p.m. and held over Zoom. Members of this ad hoc committee will be hosting that, and it'll provide an overview with a PowerPoint that I think this group has seen previously. And they'll also be providing some question and answer time in order to really drive that engagement, with the hope that by the time we have our first draft of the plan published later this summer, that we'll have an audience there ready to review it and give us some feedback in real time. And that is the summary of what the CCPAB has been up to. I'd like to provide an opportunity for our co-chairs, Melinda Avey or Tiffany Sinnott, if they're on the line, to provide an additional comment if they would like to.
Hi, Melinda Avey here. I'm a co-chair of CCPAB. And as always, Laura has done an outstanding job of summarizing everything we're doing. I really have nothing to add other than to say that we're pleased to report that we are on track to complete our work, and we're focused. Every member, I think, on our advisory board is engaged in one way or another on one of our 2 committees. So we're just moving right along, and we thank you for your support.
Thank you for that, Chair Avey. Any other comments from the CCPAB? I don't know if Tiffany or others are on. Well, as folks consider the information that's in front of us, I will just say thank you on behalf of the Community Corrections Partnership. Appreciate all that you are doing. I recognize the heavy lift, particularly with engagement with community. We do some of that ourselves in the probation department and other areas of our work, and I do know the amount of time, attention, and energy that goes into events like that, the resources as well. So it is not without acknowledgement and recognition. So again, thank you. Let me ask if there are any comments or questions from those on the partnership. All right, I do not hear or see any, and no one's yelling at me. Let me ask, Clerk, are there any public comments on this item?
We have no public comments for item 3.
Great, thank you. And I recognize this does not require any action, so I believe that concludes the item. All right, let's continue moving. We'll look forward to hearing updates on all the CCPAB work. Let's turn to item number 4. Clerk, would you please read item 4 into the record?
Item 4, Jail Population Reduction Plans Overview.
Great. And Laura, can you please provide some backdrop for us on this one?
Sure. I'll actually pretty quickly turn it over to Deputy County Executive and
Thank you.
CCPAB member,
Of course.
or CCP member, Eric Jones, who will be providing an update on recent activities at the Board of Supervisors and how that impacts perhaps some of the work for the CCP moving forward.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Chair. So again, Eric Jones, Deputy County Executive for Public Safety and Justice Agency with the county. So quick overview. Most everybody up here is quite aware of the results of the board meeting, and we continue to do the work. But in September 14th of 2022, there was a public workshop right here before the Board of Supervisors to discuss really where the county was situated with the Mays consent decree and compliance efforts. And the county as a whole, when I say the county, it's many of us up here are agencies, organizations, but it's also other agencies and organizations outside the actual county structure, including the court. And so we gave a quick overview as to where we were as far as the work that had been done for a couple years. That's been quite great work, but also where we had the gaps where we were not in full compliance with the consent decree, the federal consent decree. And as many of you know, the county is under this consent decree to be in compliance of essentially unconstitutional conditions within the correctional facilities, primarily the main jail, as well as some of Rio Cosumnes Correctional Center, RCCC. So we worked on a few plans. One was called Framework 1, one was Framework 2, that we brought back before the Board of Supervisors on December 7th, and then they ultimately voted on it on December 8th. The meeting went into the next day. So Framework 1 were what we're calling the 33 plans or items for jail population reduction to be in compliance with the consent decree. And these are reductions of jail population over time. Some of them we have been doing, some we can do very soon, and some are going to be a bit down the road. And there's so much overlap over what the CCP's plan is as well in areas of alternatives to incarceration, additional health services, community supervision, data sharing, and better sharing of and reporting out of metrics. So again, much overlap. So the board ultimately did vote, the Board of Supervisors did vote to approve the 33 items. 18 of them are actually things that are already going on. For example, the departments that are, again, represented up here, and then the 15 are new or expanded upon to, again, meet the consent decree's compliance criteria for jail population reduction. So that was Framework 1, which was voted on and approved, and we've been working very diligently, a lot of hard work from representatives from Public Defender's Office, Probation, Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, the court, Conflict Criminal Defender's Office. Tell me I didn't miss anyone, Laura. Adult Correctional Health, Behavioral Health Services, so all of the criminal justice and other social service systems partners. And so these, may or may not turn into the ideas to get within compliance and working together into actual growth requests through the county budget process cycle that's coming up. But we're forming up these plans to really make a difference with impacting the compliance efforts. I did just want to also mention Framework 2 consists of capital improvement projects. So 2 interim construction projects are underway or will be lifting off soon. They are really renovations, sort of overgeneralizing or summarizing here, at the main jail for a couple pod configurations to better serve those that need services within the main jail. As we all know, the main jail has very limited construction. They are cement walls that just cannot be moved around. So it's one of the only upgrade projects that we felt could be completed within main jail to not necessarily get within May's consent decree compliance, but to get some amount of immediate relief. And then an additional project out at RCCC to turn some of the minimum security areas into medium security so that the Sheriff's Office has more flexibility in shifting the jail populations between the two facilities. And then the third longer-term capital project is the actual construction of an intake and health services facility directly adjacent to the main jail, multiple floors, sometimes called the annex. That project was also approved by the board for us to move forward on to go out for essentially a competitive bid, request for proposal for a design and build to move that project forward, and the board approved that as well. So, Chair, those are the really updates of the May's consent decree items that were voted on by the board, and then the continued work of the jail population reduction plans that were approved as well.
Great, thank you, DCE Jones. Just, goes without saying, so many moving parts, and you made that very easy to understand, I think, perhaps for the layperson. We are all, as you mentioned, intimately involved, and so we know quite a bit about what you described, but appreciate the very clear and concise overview of, again, all of the aspects of the work that the county is undertaking. Let me turn to the membership, see if there are any questions or comments as it relates to discussion on the item. And I don't hear any, and I cannot see. I don't believe there are any on or participating remotely either. Clerk, are there any public comments on this item?
We have no public comments for item 4.
Great, thank you. So just recognizing this will continue to be, a priority discussion for the county, not necessarily even the partnership, but for the Board of Supervisors specifically, and imagine we'll have plenty of opportunity going forward to hear updates on how we are doing. So again, thank you. Clerk, let's move forward. Can you please read item 5 into the record?
Item 5 is AB 109, Revenue Projections and Fiscal Year 2023-24 Budget Discussion.
Great, and I see our Chief Financial Officer has arrived at the podium, so I might ask that you share some information with us. And, as you get yourself started, I will just say this is the thing I paused on last night in prepping for the meeting, so look forward to hearing your comments.
Membership members, I'm Amanda Thomas, the county's Chief Fiscal Officer. Thank you for having me here this morning to talk to you a little bit about AB 109 funding and the fiscal year 23-24 budget. So just in terms of what I was planning to cover this morning, talk a little bit about the AB 109 funding outlook. I'll share with you some actual numbers on what we're projecting in terms of AB 109 resources available for this current fiscal year, 22-23, and then looking forward to next fiscal year, 23-24. Talk about the 23-24 budget approach, and then really want to understand the CCP's priorities for the 23-24 budget and for the use of AB 109 resources to help guide budget recommendations that would be made to the Board of Supervisors. So in terms of the outlook, and let me first step back just a little bit. I'm by no means the expert on AB 109 and don't want to assume that anybody else is either. But I think it's important to understand that AB 109 is one of the categories of 2011 realignment funding that the county receives from the state. And that is based on statewide sales taxes. So that's kind of the underlying source of those revenues. So what we saw in fiscal year 21-22 was a year of very high growth for statewide sales taxes and for AB 109 revenue. And that, because of the way the funding works and the way the sort of timing of the payments work, that resulted in additional funding available for fiscal year 22-23. So there's about 14% growth in 21-22, which is very high by historical standards. A lot of factors played into that. We all know that inflation has been running very high. Also, just the volume of sales transactions increased as a result of post-pandemic recovery. So again, as I said, very high growth, and that growth actually from 21-22 was received in 22-23 because of how the timing works. When we look at what we're estimating overall for 22-23 compared to our budget, we are seeing numbers that are slightly below budget overall due to slightly lower growth than was expected, but still very high growth. And I think I would characterize it, we're generally on track for this fiscal year with slightly lower resources than what we expected based on budget. As we look forward to next year, to fiscal year 23-24, the total available funding is expected to be significantly lower than 22-23. And that's really due to two factors that we're looking at right now. One is just projecting lower growth. So I mentioned we had that very high growth that we saw in 21-22 of about 14%. We're looking at about 2% for 22-23 that would translate into 23-24 revenues. So it's really that lower growth is a key factor as we look at next year compared to this year. And then the other thing to note, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, is that we had a pretty sizable one-time fund balance that went into 22-23. So that's money that didn't get spent in 21-22, was available for spending in 22-23. And obviously once that fund balance is spent, it's no longer available. That's not an ongoing resource. It's a one-time resource. So those are the words. I'm going to show you some of the numbers next. But before I do that, I mentioned this a little bit, but in terms of the mechanics, so each year our growth payment that we receive is based on the growth in statewide sales taxes, and our county gets a factor applied to that for the prior year. So again, the growth is received in the following year, and it gets added to that year's what we call base revenue. So we have a base and a growth. And really, because of that timing, there's sort of this like double whammy impact, right? The base is higher and we have that growth payment all hitting in 1 year. So I'll show you a little bit what that looks like. So this first column is what we have budgeted for the current fiscal year, 22-23, and you can see in red here our base revenue of a little over $70 million. Now, included in that red is growth. So here's our growth payment, the blue, of about $14 million. And that again is included. So the base was increased by that amount, plus we get the growth payment in 22-23. So overall, we were budgeting about $85 million in revenue, base plus growth in 22-23. And then on top of that, we had that fund balance that I mentioned carrying over from 21-22, and that was a little under $10 million. And then I should also mention we do have reserved fund balance for AB 109. So we have about a little less than $5 million that is reserved, so not planned to be spent in 22-23, but would be available in future years should we experience reductions and choose to spend that reserve fund balance in future years. So that's what our kind of budget picture look like for this year? If we look at what we're currently estimating, so we now know what our growth is that we'll be receiving. And assuming we don't see a reduction, our base would remain intact and include that growth. So it's almost indiscernible here, the slight reduction that we're estimating, but you can see the red bar is a little bit lower than the budget. Blue bar also a little bit lower. So we have just about, I think about $600,000 less in total revenue that we're estimating compared to budget. That same fund balance and the same reserved fund balance here. So you can see just slightly lower estimate compared to budget. That's all for this current year, fiscal year 22-23. So looking forward to next fiscal year, I mentioned that we are expecting lower growth, right? So our base actually is higher than this current fiscal year because we have some growth. So that base is getting, that growth that we're expecting is getting added to the base. Here's what that growth looks like. So that, 2% growth that I mentioned. So if you combine those two, what we're expecting in terms of base, and I want to be clear, we're not expecting, this isn't showing revenues going down, it's just showing revenues going up a lot less than they did. And because we have that sort of double impact of the growth, we're seeing a reduction from 22-23 to 23-24. So we have that smaller blue piece there representing the growth and the sum of the growth in the base. So total revenues of about $76 million compares to about $85 million this year. And that's really the impact is because we don't have that large growth payment coming in. And the other thing I should mention is that at this point, we are not showing a fund balance carrying over from 22-23 to 23-24. So we had about almost $10 million that came into 22-23. That may change, as we get more information, move through the year. Certainly when we know what actually has been spent this fiscal year, there very likely could be some unspent amount that would be available. I will point out, as I always point out with fund balance, that it is one time. So it's not a great source of funding ongoing growth because once you spend that money one year, it's not there the next year. And we do still have that reserved fund balance, that almost $5 million, because we're not planning to spend that this year. So that would be an available resource potentially for next year as well. I want to pause there because I threw out a lot of numbers and I know that it is complicated. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to stop at this point or I will keep going.
Member Lutz, question?
Yes, thank you, Amanda. I just had a question. You started to touch on it, on the fund balance. I know you're showing revenues here, and I guess if we estimate expenses, are we expecting that we would use all of that fund balance, assuming all of those expenses come in and occur? And I guess the reason I ask is I think of, if we're spending it all, I'm guessing those are one-time capital projects that we're spending down on. We don't have a structural challenge when we go into next year for ongoing expenses.
So that's a great question, and I wish I could say the answer is yes, but no. We have so that the way that we have approached it is we haven't said the one-time money can only be spent on one-time expenditures. So we do have a structural balance that's contributing to part of this. I think that's true. It's true certainly for the fund balance, and it is, I think, also partially true when we get these large growth payments in, right? If we wouldn't expect that same level of growth next year, you do kind of it creates a structural problem. I'll talk a little bit more later about, there are AB 109 eligible things that we are funding with general fund and net county cost, and, to some extent we have that flexibility. So I think that's part of why this has been the approach. But no, I'm not aware of large one-time expenditures that are being funded.
Thank you.
Good question.
Other questions? You may continue.
Okay. So looking forward to fiscal year 23-24 and kind of what this all means in terms of the budget approach. So first, I want to say that departments will identify their base expenditures for existing programs and services, and that's going to get included in departmental base budget requests that will be submitted later this month. So we don't have that information yet. I can say that those, in many cases, those expenditures are likely to be higher than they were in 22-23 because we know we have cost of living adjustments and other inflationary factors, but we don't have that side of the picture yet. So I want to be clear about that. But I do also want to say that given what I just showed you in terms of what's happening on the revenue side, based on that, I would say it's unlikely that AB 109 resources would be available to fund growth expenditures. However, again, that will depend on really what that base picture looks like. The other thing, and I mentioned this earlier, but as is already the case, AB 109 expenditures may be, so those eligible expenditures may be funded with net county cost or general funds to the extent that resources are available to do that. However, I think it's important to note, to the extent that resources are not available, reductions would be needed, and that's kind of true across our budget. We're really still gathering all of the pieces to understand what that picture looks like, and I want to emphasize that, of course, our goal is that this wouldn't be necessary, right? But I just want to point out that that is also a possibility. So with kind of all of that in mind, we're really here today to seek the CCP's input on priorities for the use of AB 109 funding to help guide budget recommendations. I think the question that we're asking is, what are the things that this group sees as most important to maintain or to enhance in terms of the use of AB 109 resources as we look forward? So to help facilitate that discussion, the next two slides, and I apologize that I couldn't figure out a way to show it all on one slide, but the next two slides show the AB 109 plan priority recommendations. And although they're numbered, my understanding is that they're not necessarily numbered in priority order. So we'd like to understand what that priority order might look like, again, to sort of help guide those budget recommendations. So I don't know if it would be helpful for me to walk through them. I mean, it's just in terms of groupings, alternatives to incarceration, sheriff's jail, housing, inmate services and treatment, data analysis and reporting, correctional health and mental health services, and then we go on to the second slide, community supervision, AB 109 workload augmentation, including crime lab and courts, and then benefit eligibility assistance, transitional housing, and jail discharge support. And I guess with that, I'd like to open it up to discussion among the partnership members.
Sure. Thank you, Amanda. Questions or comments? I appreciate the overview. As I mentioned pausing on the slides as we had the PowerPoint in advance. The couple questions that I had, I think you addressed as I was sort of curious, how growth factored into next year and sort of, related to Director Lutz's question, is there a structural issue and, should we be thinking about this impacting existing programs? I also had in front of me the CCP updated plan, and recall, I believe we've prioritized metrics as well as addressing service gaps tied to the Mays consent decree work. And so, just thinking out loud, wondering how some of those ideas will be impacted perhaps by, again, our ability or inability maybe to fund them going forward. But those are just my initial thoughts or comments. Again, turn to the membership, see if there are comments or questions. Member Jones is nodding. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Amanda. So I would sort of just reiterate that we have two slides here, right, to discuss the plans on slides 6 and 7. And there's more, if this is correct, both from Laura and Amanda, there's more in here than we are doing, and there's also more in here than we will be able to fund, which is the reason we need to have some prioritization here. And as the chair mentioned, we have to be strategic about that prioritization, and it probably would behoove of us to ensure we're checking that back against the consent decree in many areas as well. But is that correct? There's more here than we're doing and more here than we're able to fund, as we see here.
Laura, you have a comment, or maybe can speak to the question?
Yes, I would say that's accurate. One thing that is really great about the CCPAB, which helped bring these priorities to you, is there's so much that they see that could be done in this county, and they really believe in a lot of these initiatives. But it's a little bit hard to reconcile that with we have a limited funding and limited resources with which to deliver those services. So one of the things that I'm looking forward to bringing in next year's iteration of the plan is really streamlining our AB 109 plan to make it clearer for those departments who are seeking funding. It's like, well, what are the things that we want to do now? What are the things that are of most importance? So we can have those conversations not in this setting after the plan's already been approved, but when we're developing that plan in the first place. So this meeting today is a bridging step to that, because we have so many things that could be funded, so many things that are funded partially, some of which are covered by AB 109 funds, other which are general fund. It's a little bit hard to have this conversation today and to even know what to do with that information. But I'm very grateful that you are here to contribute to this conversation so that the deputy county executives and county executives who will bring this forward to the Board of Supervisors can take that input and make sure that what we're funding with AB 109 aligns well with the AB 109 plan, with the understanding that almost anything based on this list could align with the AB 109 plan. But we want to go with what's going to best contribute to the goals of that plan. And the goals of that plan, as a reminder, are to improve or maintain community safety and improve community safety, to reduce use of jail housing, and to reduce recidivism. And so those were the driving factors behind which this list was developed, but there's certainly room for refinement in future years to better pin that down to maybe perhaps limiting this list to what's best aligned with those goals for that next year. So we have an opportunity moving forward, but today we're just looking for overall input.
See, Deputy County Exec Katari.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Laura, for that too. I think it's also important for us to remember that a lot of the items on this list are things that are being prioritized by the state or by other entities where we are looking at other funding sources for this. So as an example, CalAIM and the funding for justice-involved populations is really going to check some of these boxes. And so I think as we move forward in the discussion, we think about what's important for the AB 109 funding, and also the fact that we will be bringing other resources besides general fund to the table for some of these. And so in the background, we will have to do that kind of braiding of funding to make sure that we're checking as many boxes as possible. So thanks.
Thank you for that. Director Lutz.
Thank you. And I was echoing kind of what Deputy County Executive Katari mentioned. Because I know as a department that's submitting a lot of plans and expansion under, kind of looking at that framework one under Maze, and also what we need to be doing to address just, ongoing building out of services. I think I could see this as a matrix of lining these up and kind of a few tiers or columns of, do we kind of AB 109 being the last funding source essentially of, do we have grant funds or other allocations? Do we feel that we can realign some programs and shift some costs around, and then that last tier of, okay, we're asking for AB 109, and here's the justification, because this is really helpful, and I appreciate if this came out of the advisory board to also help elevate priorities, but it's a lot, and I know we're coming up with a budget revenue cycle downturn, and that makes it a lot harder to see. We want to do all of these things, so how do we prioritize and make sure that we're putting the money best where it needs to be?
Appreciate those comments, thinking the same, sort of, how best to sort, figure out which funding streams can support both the sort of existing priorities, as well as how can we best, I think strategically position ourselves to address the new things that we'd like to do, if at all possible, and recognizing Mays is here whether we, choose to do that or not. We need to figure that piece out. Other comments?
If I may, Chair, just
Absolutely.
Clarification from Laura, what's expected of this board today? Prioritizing some of these items, correct?
Yeah, I would say the most important thing is just your feedback, and just making sure that primarily the two Deputy County Executive Katari and Deputy County Executive Jones can hear you and hear you loud and clear about how you want to see this plan used, recognizing that we certainly and generally believe in the programs that are already funded by AB 109, and this board has been supportive of those through adoption of this plan, which does allow for all of those current expenses to be used in that way. But we just want you to be part of the conversation and to open the opportunity for this, because so far, up till now, the CCP's never been part of the budget conversation, really in kind of a direct fashion. We also want to provide certainly an opportunity for public input that you can hear as well. But I would say we're not looking for anything specific in terms of you don't have to vote on a set priority list. Just this is your opportunity to speak loud and clear, to advocate for those programs that are best serve those goals that are in the plan, and to provide an opportunity for the community to hear that as well.
Nothing else, Mr. Jones. Mr. Norgard, Member Norgard in the queue.
I do want to point out that sometimes these priorities for expansion get enhanced beyond the scope of this board. Judge Larry Brown, who runs the collaborative courts, reminded Ms. Benson and I in a criminal justice cabinet meeting that the changes to the mental health diversion law would require both of our offices to greatly increase our resources in that regard in the alternative courts. And so I know that's something we'll be the elected district attorney, Ten Ho, will be coming to the table with in terms of request for increased growth. But that's one where, as Judge Brown pointed out, our hands in terms of priorities are a bit tied in that the state law has changed substantially, and it will require both of our offices, and I believe probation too, to have a significant increase in resources tied to the collaborative, or we call alternative courts, and specifically mental health diversion. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Member Benson.
Yes, thank you. We certainly, the public defender, will be advocating for growth in a number of these areas that are very clearly outlined, and I do appreciate the work of the advisory board on this. This is a very clear roadmap on what the priorities of the advisory board are, and we do have some of these programs already, developed, and they do need expansion. And so certainly the Public Defender's Office will be advocating and aligning our growth requests with the items in this list that that we already have and that we want to expand. Mental health diversion is a significant change in the law, and that will require additional resources. And a lot of this stuff, as everybody else has said, does overlap with Mays. And so we feel very strongly that the public defenders programs will accomplish a lot for our community and our clients, and will help in reducing the jail population and recidivism, and keeping people who really don't aren't a risk to public safety, getting them the services they need, getting them expediting their cases more quickly through the system so that they can get released and get connected to services. That is certainly our priority for our clients and the community. And I just want to say thank you to the advisory board. This is just a very clear, understandable roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? So just, from my perspective, the chief probation officer perspective, echo much of what was stated. Again, recognizing in some cases our hands are tied, whether it's our stakeholders like the court and, changes in the legislation or, legal requirements with Mays. I appreciate also what the advisory board has put forth and think, the current order or approach is appropriate, thinking about alternatives first, given that, if we can best assess folks who maybe are public safety risk, that then, allows us to utilize and fully explore alternatives to incarceration. As we know, incarceration's, very costly, but often necessary. And so the way they have, I believe, laid it out in the slide, sort of alternatives, housing, inmate services, treatment, data, et cetera, in that order is consistent with what I would suggest. I'll ask just one last time, any others, any comments or discussion? Right, I don't see any. Clerk, is there any public comment on this? Or actually, let me pause. I don't know, Amanda, Laura, do you maybe have what you need in that regard before I go much further? I don't know what more you're looking for. Let me just say that.
So if it's helpful, I think I might sort of repeat back what I heard.
Sure.
And then Laura can correct me, or any of you can correct me. So I think what I heard is certainly, recognizing May's consent decree as a priority and efforts that would support that. I also heard let's look at other funding sources that might be available for these types of things and think about using AB 109 as sort of the last resort. I also heard, sorry, I'm trying to follow my, considering legal mandates. So I heard about, mental health diversion and that being something not necessarily within our control, but a requirement imposed upon, and that we would need to consider that. So both, I think that in conjunction with May's consent decree, sort of thinking of those as things that are obligations. And I heard, looking at alternatives first, and maybe kind of considering the order as presented here as a rough order of priority. Is there anything I missed?
I think that's a very accurate summary. Thank you.
No, very good. Support that as well. Clerk, is there any public comment on this item?
We have no public comment for item 5.
Are our phones working, Clerk? I am.
Yes, phones were tested this morning.
Excellent, thank you. And I don't see anyone coming forward, and there are no cards. So this was just a discussion item. There's no action for us to take. Appreciate the presentation. Thank you to our Chief Financial Officer. Let's see. Let's continue. Believe we have just one last item regarding public comment on things that are not agendized. Clerk, would you please read the item?
Item 6 is public comment on non-agenda items.
And is there any public comment?
We have no public comment.
We have none. Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. So just, before we adjourn, I will just, comment briefly. We've all observed the events in Memphis, and, I think I speak for many of my colleagues as, it's disturbing to watch, and particularly for those of us in law enforcement to try to, understand how we got from, the initial stop or the initial want to the point of, what appears, at least by all accounts, maybe to be, force that goes beyond what was necessary and resulting in the death of Tyree Nichols. Just very troubled by it. I'm only encouraged by here locally, the partnership and relationships that were mentioned earlier is something that I think Sacramento County can build upon, and just would encourage the community who is part of this plan and part of our efforts that we stay together as best we can to move Sacramento forward. So with that, if there are no other comments, I believe we are done and can adjourn for the day. Thank you all.